everybody, my name is Mars, you can call me MG if you would like, and today is the first day of the second week of December, which means it is time for my second 1 week 1 hrcyed prompt. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I am participating in hrcyed, the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, created over at the channel QWERTY, and for the month of December, I am spinning a wheel to pick one of the prompts off of the entire hrcyed challenge board, and I'm reading 2 books to help me try and finish those prompts. At the end of last week's vlog, I spun the wheel and got the Queer Alphabet Challenge, and the first book that I'll be reading to try and complete this is The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith. This is for the bisexual/pansexual square of this challenge. I read somewhere online that the main character of this book is bisexual, and I'm gonna go with it. We will see if that ends up being true. If not, I will have to change some things around, but that is a problem for future me if it becomes a problem at all. This is about Claire, who is a librarian in hell, and she specifically is in charge of all of the unfinished books, things that were never completed by their authors, and I think what happens is some characters escape from their books and go on a journey to try and find their authors, and Claire has to hunt down those characters. This is the first book in a series. I'm in the middle of a million series already, so what's one more? I'm not going to feel guilty about it. But yeah, I'm excited to give this a go, so I'm going to start reading this today and give you an update when I've got a first opinion on it. Hello friends, it is 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, and I kind of have a wild update, so buckle in, we're gonna be here chatting for a hot minute because I've got a lot to talk about. First of all, I am reading Library of the Unwritten. You know about this. This is the one book that I've talked about so far in this vlog, and I'm about a third of the way in, and really enjoying this. It does feel a little bit slow to me. The words on the page, like, they're so tiny. So it feels like it's taking me a while to read, but it's just because of how many words are on the page. It's not like the writing style or anything. So this is a longer book than it looks, because it is 372 pages, but with a tiny font. So this could easily be over 400 if it had a normal size font. But yeah, this is so fun. We've got multiple POV characters, which I wasn't expecting. It is all in third person, but we follow one specific character per chapter. So we've got Claire, who is the librarian at the Library of the Unwritten, which is one of 2 libraries in hell. Essentially in this, sorry, my hair is partially damp because I showered and it's really bothering me. Anyway, there are libraries in all sorts of underworlds and afterlives, because that is just how this world works. There's so many, pretty much any religion and ideology you can think of is real in some way. And so in hell, the Christian hell, there are 2 libraries. There's the Library of the Unwritten, which houses all of the books that were never written, but people had ideas for, I guess, which makes me feel kind of guilty as someone who has a million writing projects on the go at any time, and so many of them will remain unwritten forever. Rip me, I guess. But anyway, the other one is the Library of the Arcane, which is about, magical stories and items and things, I guess. So Claire is someone who never published her books, and so her death when she was, going into the afterlife, she kind of chose this as her punishment or whatever, was to become this librarian. I have so many thoughts in my brain, it's hard to speak. And she's been the librarian here for 30 years. So we get her POV. We also have the POV of Brevity, who is a failed muse because she did not like giving out inspiration to artists. She kept it for herself, and the muses were like, you can't do that. So she's like, okay, then I don't want to be a muse anymore. So she is training to be the next librarian. We have Leto, who is a demon, but he's not. He is a dead human whose soul, when he died, the way they explain it is so weird. It's like you choose your own, like, afterlife. And so he, I guess when he died, felt that he needed to be punished and became a demon. And he doesn't know, like, he doesn't remember being a human at all until Claire is like, hey, there's some weird things about you. I don't think you're a real demon. And we got, like, little snippets of what happened as he was a human, and they are not good. That's gonna be stressful to get to. But he's on this adventure with them. And then on the opposite side, we have Ramiel, or Rami, as he's often referred to, and he is a fallen angel. He was a watcher, which I don't consider myself to be very religious anymore, but I grew up in the Christian church, and I have a fascination with Christian mythology, and specifically Christian. I've never said this word out loud before, so I don't know if it's pronounced this way, but Apocrypha? It's basically the opposite of canon, so like the Christian canon is everything that's in the Bible, but there are religious texts and like Bible books that aren't accepted in the actual Bible. Like there are some sects of Christianity and Judaism that like do accept these as canon texts, like the Book of Enoch specifically is mentioned in here, and that's where you learned what the Watchers are, and they were like the first race of angels, and they were punished alongside Lucifer and his followers, even though they weren't specifically rebelling against heaven. It's very fascinating. I am very interested in that topic, so that's why this book is very engaging to me. Like, I'm loving all of the lore that we're getting. And basically, there is what's called the Devil's Bible that these people are all trying to find, and Claire and Brevity and Leto are on this side where they're trying to find this book to prevent it from getting in the hands of Ramiel, because if he gets this book, then it's going to start this war between heaven and hell. But he needs this book because it's his ticket back into being forgiven and being allowed to go home to heaven. Fascinating. I'm obsessed. And so right now, at this point, about a third of the way through, all of the characters are in Valhalla because Valhalla exists, and it's like there's a library there, but it's like an oral library. Like all of the stories are spoken, and the head of this library is Bjorn the Bard, who actually used to be the head librarian at the Library of the Unwritten several generations back before going to Valhalla. And so Claire is like, I need to talk to this man about this Devil's Bible and see what he knows. So that's where I'm at right now. And it's, like I said, a little bit slow going, but it's so fascinating, and I'm really having a great time with this. So I am very excited to continue on with this. However, I I'm not someone who reads books concurrently, like multiple books at the same time, but I've kind of done that to myself, and I'm stressing about it. So, who's beeping outside? That's so rude. Don't they know I'm vlogging? Anyway, I have a book checked out from the library, and it is technically due on Thursday. So I'm trying to get that read. I don't have time to go to the library till Saturday, so it's going to be late anyway, unless maybe if I finish it tomorrow, then my boyfriend can swing by on his bike ride that he's going on with his friends. I don't know. I don't know. But this book I can't renew because it's got a very long wait list, so people are waiting for it, which is also why I want to get it read and get it sent back into the library system, because the Philadelphia Public Library does not have late fees, but they will like pause your account if you do have books that are too late. Like my boyfriend had a book and it was late for like a week and it was fine. He was still allowed to like request books and everything. But then a different time he had a book that was like a month late, and they were like, you are not allowed to request books or check out books until this one is returned to us. And he's like, got it. So I want to get this back, but it is Bat Eater and Other Names for Khorazang. This is not for hrcyed, but I'm thinking it might be able to because one of the prompts is animals, and there's like different categories of animals, one of which is wild animals and another which is zoo animals. And I think a bat could count as either a wild animal or a zoo animal. The bat house is one of my favorite places at the zoo, as I've established in other videos. I think I've mentioned that I love bats. They're one of my favorite animals, like top 5 for sure. But I'm also about a third of the way through this, and this also has the tiniest font in the world, but it is very easy to read, so I feel like it's going by faster than the Library of the Unwritten. And I'm also really enjoying this. So this follows Khorazang in 2020 in New York during the pandemic, and she is half Chinese, half white. She witnesses the very gruesome killing of her sister Delilah. They are waiting for the subway, and a man pushes her sister in front of a train. And it's very obviously traumatic. Cora is dealing with a lot of mental health issues. I mean, the way things are talked about, she very clearly had mental health issues before seeing this, but this has obviously made things worse, along with the anti-Chinese racism that was obviously always a thing because racism has always been around and there never has been a reason for racism to exist besides terrible people, but especially during COVID, anti-Chinese racism was like at an all-time high, and this explores those themes. She is a crime scene cleanup person, like that's what she does for a living, and she has been having to clean up a lot of suspicious deaths in Chinatown of murdered Chinese women, and there have been bats at these scenes, which is very curious. And she is starting to spiral quite a bit. And I am just so fascinated with this, and I'm absolutely loving it. And so, even though it's not technically for this vlog, and I didn't need to tell you about it, I wanted to tell you about it. So, I'm really hoping to get this done ASAP so I can return it to the library. Then, today at work, it was so slow because I work at an ice cream shop and it is December. I'm pretty sure the high for today was 30 degrees, which for my non-American friends, that is below freezing. Freezing in Fahrenheit is 32 degrees. So it was not even above freezing at all today. And so obviously it was so slow because I worked at an ice cream shop. Crazy that we're still open, but anyway, I did my job. I was like cleaning and filling toppings, things like that, taking care of the very few customers that we did have. We probably had like 10 customers in the 5 hours that I was there. It was crazy. Um, Answering the phone when it rang, like I was doing my job. But eventually I ran out of tasks to do, and so I had quite a bit of downtime, and I started reading a book. So I started reading Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson, and this is the book that I picked for the second part of this vlog. I was going to start it after I finished the Library of the Unwritten, and it would be the second book for this vlog, but I didn't have any of my physical books with me. I just had Libby on my phone, so I started reading Bloom, and I read half of it already because it is a novella. It's quite short and quite fast to read, even though it is very dense. I am not loving it because it is a very pretentious writing style, and our main character is very pretentious, and that's not really my vibe, but the story is still intriguing enough for me to look past that. But this follows Ro. She is a 27-year-old, I think, which is strange because I'm also 27. I didn't expect to be reading about someone pretty much exactly my age. She had a very traumatic breakup a year prior to this story and ended up moving back to her home state. She lived in New York City. Now she moved back to Georgia. She is an assistant professor at a university, and she ends up going to this farmer's market because of, I think she barely gets out of the house and like doesn't have any friends or whatever, so she's just like, why not? Let me just go check out this farmer's market just to do something. Um And there she meets Ash, who runs this farmer's market stall where there's flowers and plants and cupcakes and other baked goods and homemade bars of soap and different flavors of honey because she also has bees and like just literally anything you can think of that would be at a farmer's market, this person sells. And Ro is immediately obsessed and she's like, oh my god, am I bisexual? And that's very funny to me. But we hadn't really gotten to any horror stuff, even though we're halfway through and this is a horror story. The whole thing has just been Ro being kind of obsessed with Ash, and then uh, right before we hit the halfway mark, we go to see Ash's house. Like she invites Ro over, and the first like creepy, scary thing. I mean, Ash has said some things that are like a little bit weird, but the first like horror-ish thing that has happened was right at the midpoint where Ro witnesses Ash beating a raccoon to death with a shovel, and she's like, what the fuck? But then she's also like very drunk, and Ash is like, this was a stressful time, so why don't we just go to bed? And she puts Ro to bed, and that's it. That's where I stop reading. So I think what I'm gonna do, because I think I can knock out the second half of Bloom in like 2 hours probably. Oh my god, I've been filming for 15 minutes. This is the longest update possible. Oh my god. Anyway, I think that I'm going to finish Bloom tonight. And then I don't know. I should read Library of the Unwritten because it's for this vlog. But also I should read Bat Eater because it has to go back to the library. So I guess you're getting a bonus book with Bat Eater, and I'm just going to talk about it in this vlog because why not? But yeah, I'm in the middle of so many books. I'm technically in the middle of a fourth book, but I have only read the prologue of that, so I'm only like 2% in. That is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. That's who it's by. I started reading it on Sunday, and then I realized how long it was, and I was like, I don't have time for this because of this upcoming vlog and this library book that I've just realized is due. So I do have that checked out on Libby, but it's not due until like the 20th, so I will read that next week at some point. Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is make some soup for dinner. I've got some chicken and rice soup, and I'm very excited to eat it. And then I will read Bloom and come back and update you and then decide what I'm going to read after that. I think that is the plan. That is enough rambling from me. I'm going to get going, and I will see you in a couple of hours. So it is just about 9:30 now, and I have finished reading Bloom, and honestly, wait for this loud car to go by, I'm kind of disappointed. I have been wanting to read this for a couple of years now, ever since I first heard about it, and I've heard nothing but like rave reviews. Like everyone I know who's read it loved it. I didn't. I didn't like the writing style. Like I said, it was very pretentious. I thought it was extremely predictable plot-wise. I was not a fan of Ro or Ash. Neither of them were interesting characters to me. They just kind of felt, like I said, predictable and bland. Yeah, this just was not it for me, unfortunately. I am open to reading more from Delilah S. Dawson, but this just didn't hit the way I wanted it to, and I'm a little sad about that. I am undecided if I'm going to keep this as my book for the lesbian category of the Queer Alphabet Challenge, because Ro is not a lesbian, but Ash is, I think. It doesn't explicitly say, but she seemed like a lesbian to me from what we like learn about her. So for now, I'll leave it there, and if I read another book in the future that feels more strongly lesbian, I guess, I can always swap it out. But yeah, that was my first book for this vlog that I finished accidentally, even though I wasn't planning on reading it yet. I do feel a little bit stupid reading this one because what if work is boring again tomorrow and I have nothing to do? But it's fine. I mean, I guess there's always the Dragon Republic. I don't know if I want to read that yet. But I think what I'm gonna do now is my end of the night like routine, like all the stuff that I do to get ready for bed because it is 9:30 and I'm usually in bed by like 10:30. If I do have some time to read though, I think the best course of action is for me to pick up Bat Eater because I want to return it to the library. And my boyfriend did say that he can drop it off tomorrow when he goes on his bike ride, so I have a limited time to read it. But yeah, I did also look at the hrcyed prompts, and the zoo animal category, I wasn't totally solid on what I wanted there. Like, I wasn't super enthusiastic about it, so I am going to replace it and put Bat Eater there. So I did make it work for hrcyed. Not the prompt that this vlog is for, but you know what? It's gonna work, and that's fine. I'm so tired, you guys, so I'm going to get ready for bed and hopefully get a good chunk of reading done because with my work shift being in the middle of the day tomorrow, I'm not going to have a ton of time to read, and I do want to get this done so my boyfriend can drop it off for me. So I will see you when I have an update on something, I guess. Hello, friends. It is nearly 9 p.m. on Thursday. It has been a hot minute since I updated you because it has been a hectic couple of days. I think I updated you Tuesday night after I finished reading. What was I reading? Bloom. Yes, and it was a disappointment. Yesterday I didn't read a ton, but I did get back to reading today. And boy, do I have a lot to talk to you about. First of all, I finished Bat Eater and Other Names for Corazang. This was so good, you guys. I don't know if you can tell, but like, I'm a little bit emotional right now. Like, the ending of the book, that whole like last act, and also the author's note made me so emotional. And like, I really don't want to get into it because I will start crying, and I don't need to do that right now. But yeah, this was a phenomenal book. It was so good. Honestly, I think it might be a 10 out of 10, which I was not expecting. And I definitely want to check out more of Kylie Lee Baker's works because I think she's got several more. I don't know how many books, but I know this is not her first one. But I definitely want to check out her other books now after reading and absolutely loving this. And now I get to return it to the library on Saturday. I ended up not having it returned yesterday, not only because I didn't finish it, because I literally finished this 30 seconds ago, but because my boyfriend's plans also changed, so he didn't end up going near the library. Anyways, we couldn't have dropped it off yesterday. Anyway, technically today is the due date, but I'll be going on Saturday morning to hand this back over, and I hope whoever is in line after me who gets this book, I hope you love it. Not that I think you're watching this vlog, but who knows, maybe you are. But yeah, this was so good. I also did do a little bit more reading in the Library of the Unwritten. As you can see, I am just past 200 pages, so a little bit past the halfway mark, and I've got about 100 and I think 70 pages to go. So I'm making steady progress. Still really enjoying it. It's not gonna be a 10 out of 10, not like Bat Eater and Other Names for Corazang. I don't think it might pick up, but it's still sitting in like a very enjoyable range. I'm still having a good time with this. It is just a slower read, so I'm hoping that I can finish this up quickly because I'm running out of days in this week for this vlog, and this was supposed to be the first book that I finished. Oh, anyway, I also started another book. I know, but it was another slow day at work, and I didn't have my physical books with me, still couldn't check them out on Libby because of the long wait time, so I started reading The Hole by Hye-young Pyun. Is that the author's name? I think that is the author's name. This is a like mystery thrillery kind of book translated from Korean, and it is about a man who gets into a car accident that kills his wife and leaves him severely disabled, and he spends his days bedridden, and he can look out his window, and from that window he sees his mother-in-law, who is like kind of taking care of him, just digging a hole, many holes, I'm unsure, in the backyard. And that's really all I know about it. I got through about a third of it. It's very short. It's another novella like Bloom, which is why I felt comfortable picking it up. It also does work for hrcyed. It is part of the quotes prompt, because the quote that I'm trying to build with titles is "In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit," so the hole works. And I think it's also for POC authors. Don't quote me on that one, but it is still for hrcyed, just not the prompt I'm trying to fulfill this week. Yeah, I've read about a third, and the point where I'm at just now, he's just gotten out of the hospital after spending like 3 or 4 months there since there was the accident, and then he was in a coma for several months, and then he was recovering for several months, and he has gained some function in his left arm, and he can like move his head a little bit. And that is it. He's otherwise paralyzed. He can't speak. He can't eat or use the bathroom on his own. So, very much in his internal monologue throughout the book. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not going to read that tonight because, in case we have a slow day tomorrow, I want something to read at work. I will be picking up more of the Library of the Unwritten and try to bang out a couple more chapters tonight. Yeah. In other news, I have decided not to DNF the Dragon Republic, but while I was at work, I was reading that through Libby, so I was like, oh, I could pick this up and finally move past the 2-page prologue. And then I was like, I just really don't want to read it this month. I am still excited to read it and continue on with the Poppy War series, because I did really enjoy the Poppy War, but now is not the time for that. So even though I have it on my official TBR for my TBR game, no, actually I think this was from the jar polls. I think that's where it came from. Regardless, it is on my official TBR for the month, but I am just going to pass for now and pick it up when I am more in the mood for that kind of story. I think right now I'm more into like stories with darker elements, like horror kind of vibes, which the Poppy War definitely had darker elements, but it is at its core a high fantasy, and I don't think I want a high fantasy right now. So I will read that 2026 maybe, hopefully. But yeah, that's where I'm at as of Thursday night. I will see you hopefully for a final update when I have finished the Library of the Unwritten. I think that is my goal, is to get that done and then finish out this vlog for you guys. Hello friends, it is a 1 p.m. on Saturday, and I finally finished The Library of the Unwritten, and I really enjoyed this book. I wish that I had been able to give it my full attention instead of being torn between several books at once, but that's kind of just how this week went. I did have a good time reading this. I just feel like if I had been able to focus solely on this and wasn't switching between several books, then I would have liked it a little bit more. But it was still very fun. It was a little bit long. I feel like there were a few scenes that just took up too much space. Like they could have been wrapped up earlier, but they just kind of lingered. Not many, but a few of them. And I feel like if they had been more concise, this would have been a nearly perfect book. But it was still very good. I think maybe like 7 or an 8 out of 10. Like, I still really, really enjoyed this, and I'm excited to see how the rest of the series plays out. I think it's a trilogy, but I'm not positive. Might have 4 books. Either way, I'm looking forward to continuing on and seeing what other adventures our characters get up to. So I'm glad that I read this. Now, we get to spin the wheel to see what I get to read next week. I did adjust the wheel a little bit with different prompts and things. I'm hoping for something kind and something easy after the hectic that week that I have just had. I need to chill for a little bit. Also, it's the last week of my job being open. I work at an ice cream shop. I don't know if I've mentioned that in this video. Regardless, we're finally closing for, not for the season. We are specifically saying that we're taking a holiday break. An ice cream shop being open in December makes no sense, but like I'm getting paid, so it's fine. Next week is our last week, so I will be working extra hard because we have to not only do our regular duties, but also clean the entire store. So it's gonna be crazy. I just want to chill. So we're gonna spin the wheel and hope that it gives us a very nice prompt. I could have gone through and just like made the wheel only have really easy ones, but that feels less fun than seeing what it could give us out of all of the options. So I'm gonna stop procrastinating and spin the wheel. All right, so we're here. I'm not sure exactly which ones I'm hoping it lands on, or which one, because it's only gonna be picking one. I think nonfiction would be decent because the nonfiction that I have aren't very long. Translations would be good because I'm excited about both of those books, and again, not very long. I don't really remember what my options are on the other ones, so I can't speak to them. But yeah, let's stop procrastinating. Let's just get to it. Okay, by the 100s, let's swap over to my hrcyed tracker and look at what I've got going there. Okay, so by the 100s is actually quite a kind thing that the wheel could have given us. So the Odyssey I own. That's one of my physical TBR books, and it is going to be a little bit challenging to read because, I mean, it's the Odyssey, but I don't think it will be too challenging, and it's also not super long, so that's fantastic. The Sinister Mystery of the Mesmerizing Girl, I did check, and it is available on Libby, but I am not super interested in reading that right now. I loved the first book in that trilogy. It was so good. It was the something something Alchemist's Daughter, The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. Is that what it's called? Something like that. I don't know. I loved that. And then the second book was so disappointing. Did not like it in the slightest. And so this would be finishing out a trilogy, but I just have zero motivation to read it. I will be reading it before hrcyed ends, obviously, because I put it in here. But like, I just really don't want to read it right now. Sea Sparrow, while a bit on the longer side, will be finishing out a series, not a trilogy. It's the 5th book, at least finishing out for now. Who knows if there'll be more published in that world? But that's always a good thing. Also, I'm picking it up from the library literally in a few hours. I'll be going over there. Like, I have the physical copy waiting for me because it's on my TBR for December. So I was planning on reading it anyway. So that's actually wonderful. Imaginary Friend, I would really like to read, but A, I don't have access to it. B, it is so long, and C, the other 2 books just make sense. So I guess that has decided what I'm reading next week. Okay, friends, this was an absolutely wild time. I read, what, 3 1/3 books for this vlog because I never did continue reading the whole. That's a lie. I finished the chapter that I was in the middle of because when I was at work reading it, I had to stop reading in the middle of a chapter. I did finish that chapter, but that's it. I'm still only about like a third of the way into that. But I read The Library of the Unwritten, which is still in my lap. I read Corazang, Bat Eater and Other Names for Corazang. Such a long title. I always want to shorten it, but that is out of my reach right now on the other side of the room. I will be returning that to the library today, only 2 days late. I think that is fine. Really enjoyed that. And then I read Bloom. Not a big fan, but I mean, we had some other great reads in this vlog, so it's fine. Yeah, crazy. I hope to not have a week like this ever again. But yeah, we have come to the end of this vlog now. If you've enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.